Roll camera. Mics up. And action.
Live from Australia, streaming around the world. The most cinematic podcast of your week awaits. This is Bottomless Popcorn with your host, Morgan Brown.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bottomless Popcorn. I'm Morgan. On today's episode, we've got a friend of mine, Josh Neilson. Josh is he's a part-time writer, he's a part-time scaffolder, and he's a part-time radio DJ and presenter. You've definitely heard of him, or you've definitely read something of his if you're from Newcastle, that's for sure. But this is a really good episode. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's get straight into it. Please welcome Josh Neilson to this week's episode of Bottomless Popcorn.
Hello, my name is Josh Neilson, and the last movie that I watched was The Great Step Brothers, one of Will Ferrell's masterpieces. Very highbrow.
It's an absolute classic. It is. Yes,
it's
a very art house cinema, that one. It's great.
It's a fair reflection of my viewing habits, mate.
Perfect. Josh, we met each other a couple of years ago now. We between a mutual friend of ours, the Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield, we filmed a couple of local videos together and have kind of remained friends since. That seems like a pretty accurate description of how we know each other.
I think right? You've hit the nail on the head, mate. Yeah, you were doing some very handy producing work for Butsy and I back in, how long ago was that now? I
feel like it's 2016 or 15,
16, yeah. Dickhead's Guide to Newcastle Part 1 and 2.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun there, mate. Yeah, we've stayed in touch since. Obviously, boys have all gone their separate ways. Butsy, probably fair to say, kicking a few more goals than you and I, but
I think so, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, mate. So, yeah, all is well.
No, very good. That's awesome. So for today's little podcast, we're going to go to the movies. I don't know, it's probably been a little bit of time since we've all been to the movies with lockdowns and stuff, so let's absolutely go ham here. But if we're going to the movies, what snacks are you getting from the candy bar? What are you gonna pick up on the way through?
Generally go pretty hard. If I'm going to the movies, there's usually I've gone out for dinner beforehand, and I'm kind of in for a penny, in for a pound kind of guy. So sure. I'm treating myself at dinner, and then there's definitely some heavy treating going on at the candy bar. So definitely, I think Maltesers are a must.
Yep. And
either crispy or peanut M&Ms too.
Oh,
there'll probably be a bag. There's probably a bag of each going. Yeah, I'm a hard chocolate man. Not I don't like lollies and confectionery, but definitely a chocolate man. So yeah, that's me, mate. Probably about $40 worth, whatever they cost.
I did this with someone else the other day, and I just wanted to see how you feel about this, because I think this is a sign of a sociopath. But mixing the Maltesers
and popcorn. I have heard about it. I haven't tried it myself personally. I have heard about it, but you're right. I'm a little bit suspicious on characters like that. Just keep them separate. If they were meant to be doing it like that, they'd serve it to you like that.
I think so, and they don't offer it that way, so don't change it.
Don't do it.
Can you remember the first movie you ever saw, like at the cinemas?
Great question. Do you know what? My earliest memory, I don't know if this is too cliche or not, was one of the first Star Wars movies.
Right.
So, geez, that would be, what's the one where he gets stuck in the trash compactor on the ship? Now I feel like that could be
controversial, as I haven't seen all the Star Wars.
You're kidding.
So I've seen the newer ones because I worked at the movies when they come out, but all those ones before, man, they are.
Wow.
I've not seen.
Well, they came out so long ago too.
Yeah, I imagine mid to late 90s.
Yeah, I think, mate, episode 4 or whatever the first one was that came out, I feel like it was even 89 or something. But yeah, so it would have been probably the third one of the first lot that came out, I reckon. And that's so like mid 90s. So I want to say, what was that? I can't even remember the title of it. But yeah, it was definitely one of the early Star Wars movies. Because I remember being really scared when he got stuck in the trash compactor.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can you, is there a film you remember more for the experience around seeing it rather than the actual movie itself?
This is really good. These are really great questions, because I do. Straight off the bat, I went and saw 8 Mile. Remember Eminem's 8 Mile?
Yeah.
And so I believe it was either an MA or it could have been an R-rated movie. And so I obviously wasn't old enough to go and watch it. Mum had given me money, and I'd lied to Mum about going to obviously what we were seeing. So fair chance I was 14 or 15 at the time, but obviously
just
I was
on the cusp of that age difference
exactly
to be able to get in.
And obviously looked old enough to get in. But I remember there was a pretty hectic sex scene with Brittany Murphy, R.I.P. Brittany Murphy, and Eminem, Marshall Mathers. And I remember the guilt, because I was like, this is hectic, and I've lied to mum that I'm here. And the guilt completely overshadowed the film. And I remember feeling terrible about it for ages. And I don't know if I ever told my mum that what I'd done, but that is a really good question, because that sticks out. Like, that's really, really prominent memory for me is the guilt for going to see 8 Mile.
Very good. That's one I don't think I've revisited that one. I think I've only seen it the once and haven't come back, but I'll have to come watch it because I don't remember the sex scene or anything like that.
Good sex scene.
I remember the throw up in the rap battle, and I think that's about it.
There's I can't remember what I was doing, but I went on YouTube. I think I might have been with some mates having a beer, and I ended up on YouTube getting because the final rap battle is like, it's really good. Like, I guess you're pumped up. And I remember searching for the final rap battle in 8 Mile. It's a good watch if
Isn't the bad guy in 8 Mile is now like it's Anthony Mackie, who's like now one of the Marvel superheroes, I'm pretty sure. So it's like when Falcon. He first started out.
It's the Falcon. You're right. I didn't realize that until you just said it, but definitely it's the Falcon. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Which is crazy. If a movie is based on a book, novel, comics or anything like that, are you someone that gets into that kind of stuff? Like, do you read it before you watch it, after you see it, or that's just cool to know when you watch the movie either way?
I think I'm not a huge reader. I'm nowhere near. I did used to read a bit when I was younger, but I'm not a big reader at the moment. The Harry Potters, obviously, probably for everyone, they were ones that it was like a big thing when we were younger. If you'd gone and seen the Harry Potter and everyone was talking about the Harry Potter movies, but the kids that had read it always made a point to say, oh, it's so much different in the book, and like really had to say, oh, the book's so much better, or the book's so much different. I'm always really interested when you watch a movie to later find out that it's based on a novel or something that you didn't like. And I'm pretty ignorant in that respect, I suppose, as well. But you'll watch something and then you'll hear, oh, it's an adaptation of this, or it's actually a book. I'm happy to just watch whatever, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I once got told that I don't really I like the superhero ones, but I don't read the comics. But even for reading like novels and stuff, I'm not that big on it. But I once got told it's quicker to just watch the movie with subtitles on as the solution to reading the book. But I don't think it works the same way.
Who told you that? That's genius.
I don't remember. Maybe it was when I first got the job at the movies. They're like, we're about selling the film, not the book. So just tell them to watch it with subtitles.
Yeah, very clever. Very clever.
We've got a trailer coming up now. It's one of the films you picked. This was your 4th favorite film. I believe it's Snatched.
What's happening with those sausages, Charlie?
Japanese turkeys.
Look at it. How am I supposed to run this thing from that? We're going to need a proper office. I want a new one, Tommy. You're going to buy it for me.
Why me?
Well, you know about caravans.
How's that?
You spent a summer in one, which means you know more than me. And I don't want to have my pants pulled down over the price.
What's wrong with this one?
Oh, nothing, Tommy. It's tip-top. It's just I'm not sure about the colour. Yeah, it's all arranged. You just got to pick it up. There's an address.
It's a campsite.
You've got 10 grand, and it'd be nice to see change. What's happening with them sausages, Charlie?
5 mini turkeys.
It was 2 minutes, 5 minutes ago.
Snatch, great. So Guy Ritchie movie. Big fan. I think it was Snatch, and it was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
I actually just noticed he appears twice in your list of top 4 films.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have realized that until probably I told you. So there'll probably be some common themes between my 4 movies. I don't know if they're that different to one another in a lot of ways. But yeah, Snatch, great. So really love the characters. It's one of those ones similar to like a few Tarantino movies, I suppose, where you've got a few different stories going on and they all end up crossing paths. And really big fan of like that kind of gangster kind of underworldy English Cockney. There's some really, really fantastic characters in it. Really, really great story. I think Brad Pitt's in Snatch as like the Irish gypsy boxer. Like he's just fantastic. Yes. Jason Statham's in it. Just a really fun movie. Really fun. There's like a Russian gangster in it, Boris the Blade, and just it's a lot of fun. Really, really good movie.
It is. It's a really good one. I was looking up the film this afternoon after you sent me what the list of your films were, and I was looking up some kind of trivia and facts about them, and I just picked out a couple of random ones that I thought you might find quite interesting. So this is one I didn't notice when I watched it, but nearly every death in the film takes place off screen, and you don't actually see it. And I remember that being a really violent movie, but now that I think about it, I can't remember seeing anyone die on screen.
It's a really good point. I'm thinking of So I think Boris gets shot off camera by accident. I actually never knew that. That's really funny.
It's clever, yeah.
And I love these little. This is really good because then the next time you watch it, you just get a completely different. This is fantastic,
right?
Yeah, this is great.
And then so Guy Ritchie's previous film to this was Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. And a heavily criticized and complaint about that film was that you couldn't understand the really thick English and Irish accents throughout the film. So as a counter to that criticism, he told Brad Pitt to make his accent as unrecognizable as possible to further annoy those same critics that gave him shit reviews for saying that Lock, Stock was no good because you couldn't understand it.
That's brilliant on two levels, obviously to bash it up the critics, but also that's one of the funniest parts of that movie just by itself without knowing that is when he's trying to buy the caravan from, he's like, do you like dogs? And they're going, what? He goes, you like dogs? That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And so another, like the last one I'll say about it for you is films' titles are usually somehow referenced in it. But the film's title is the only time the title is referenced throughout the movie is when Vinny, who's Robbie G's character, tells the dog, don't snatch, in response to the dog swallowing the diamond.
The diamond.
That is how, I guess, the title of the film comes around, which I thought was pretty cool because I really enjoyed that film too, but I was always a bit like, Snatch doesn't really have anything to...
Yeah, there was not like they're obviously all trying to pinch something, I suppose. But yeah, you don't, like you say, the film's title's always at some time or another, someone says it or someone rattles it off, but yeah, you don't really see it. But yeah, great movie, a lot of fun.
It was really clever, yeah. We'll move on to a couple more questions if you like. So this one you can probably answer two different ways if you like. What film do you think has the best soundtrack? So that can be like commercial, like radio music, or like original score, like the orchestra music that might play throughout the movie.
Yeah, good. I think one of the, straight off the top, probably an original score that gets you pumped up. 300 comes to mind. There's some of those battle scenes where they're coming like the slow motion and they're going through the rain, and there's some like really hard kind of heavy rock and like opera kind of mash up. That sort of one that springs to mind. There's a few movies. I'm just trying to think something. There's a few that I've seen lately that are like really, really good soundtracks, where there's like something will play in between a scene. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but definitely 300 for like an original score that I love all that hard rock and kind of heavy stuff. So that's one that definitely sticks out for me.
For sure. Very good. Another one you could probably answer either way. So what do you think is the best looking film? So that could be like the camera moves really nicely throughout it, or everything within the frame is really nice, like the costumes, the locations, the set, that kind of thing.
There's one thing I really like. Shaun of the Dead might sound like a funny one, and it's a lot of those movies that Nick Frost and Simon Pegg did. They have those scenes where it's kind of in between a scene, and they say they make the decision that they're going to the pub or that they're going to get their day started, and there's like the really quick cutaways where it'll be like fridge opening, like stirring the tea. There's like a big scrape on the toast with the butter. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they're out. And it's just those little bits. Or they're at the pub. I think it's in Hot Fuzz, and it's just before one of the guys gets murdered. But it's the bit where he leaves the pub and gets home, and it's like, I think he's like key in the door, piss all over the seat, grabs himself another beer, and then hits the couch, and it just goes bang, 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 and then it's on to the next scene. So those
Really
kind of
clever,
like transition-y kind of things, really like them. Again, like they're a lot of fun. They're not like super crucial or anything, but they just kind of get you from one place to another like really quickly. I like those.
Story.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
they get referred to. Someone told me this the other day doing this. They get referred to as the Cornetto Trilogy. Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and The World's End.
World's End, yeah.
At some point in each of those films, Nick Frost eats one of the 3 flavored Cornettos: mint, strawberry, and original.
I can only think of one. Yeah, there's one. There's a scene it's in Shaun of the Dead, and he says, "Do you want anything from the shop?" And he just goes, "Cornetto."
Yes.
And I can't think of Hot Fuzz. Yeah, no, he's eating one when he's a copper. He's on the beat.
Yeah.
And then I can't.
The Cornetto too is also reflective of the type of film it's in. So in Hot Fuzz, he's eating a blue one representing the police.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead, the strawberry for the blood, and then in The World's End, he's got the mint one, but I'm not sure what green.
Well, they're
has
aliens.
To do with,
green aliens.
I suppose, maybe, Which I just thought was such a really clever detail to like layer across 3 totally separate movies. Like it's just.
I love those little Easter eggs like that. I always find myself on YouTube, like when the latest lot of Avengers films came out. And just because there's so much stuff I miss, and obviously, if you know things like that, you've got to know what you're looking for. Little things like that, I love because it seems like a lot of effort for not much payoff. But if you're someone like us that likes that sort of stuff, then it's fantastic.
It's worth it, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. What is the funniest film that you think you've ever seen?
Oh, great question. Funniest film. I remember when I was younger. The first Anchorman, when it came out, that was like ammunition for days. Like you'd be at school,
wasn't it?
Just rattling off Anchorman quotes, and you'd all be absolutely creased over. Definitely the first Anchorman. Talladega Nights, more Will Ferrell. I think Talladega Nights is absolutely hilarious. Just some of the one-liners and like the Southern accent, and John C. Reilly, like those two together are just fantastic. Yeah, I'd probably say the first time seeing either of those 2 movies, hilarious.
No, it's great. I agree. What about the saddest film, the opposite end of the spectrum? What do you think that is?
Saddest film. I remember being quite upset at Marley and Me. When
anyone where the animals die seems to be quite popular as the answer to this question, and I think I agree. Yeah,
Marley and Me made me sad. Parts of American History X made me sad just because of how violent and stuff they were. But like that's not like sad. That's just like that's parts of that movie where I was just like, holy shit. But yeah, off the top of my head, I reckon Marley and Me probably one of the sadder ones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was Dixon did this the other day, and she was the same. And she goes, "Oh no, I think about this. This is I don't know why I almost did that movie because we're only going to get sad by the end of it. It was clearly the life of a dog, not the owners." So
exactly.
I was yep, I agree. All right, we'll jump on to another movie trailer for you now, and it's Rock and Roller.
Now you sort this out. Get that painting back. Bring me a body. Because I'm going back to bed.
Bandy, you ever ask a stupid question like that again, you see Danny there? He's going to slap you.
I'm sorry, Arch. I was just trying to use initiative.
Danny, slap him. With the right, Danny, properly. No. Come on, do it properly with the back of the right hand.
What, is this a tennis match, Arch?
Slap him. Like this.
Yeah, I watched Rock and Roller again the other night for the first time in a long time. Again, a lot of the stuff I love about this movie is a lot of what I loved about Snatch. You've just got this great kind of intertwining stories. The underworld crime. I just love that kind of. You've got the really heavy British underworld crime figures. You've got the Russians coming in. They don't like how they're doing business with each other. Then you've got the junkie son. And then all these paths kind of cross, and you've got that picture, the picture changes hands a few times, and you've just got all these stories that kind of weave together. And Really, really funny. Then you've got, again, like more great characters. Tom Hardy's the heart. I can't remember his name, but Handsome Bob. I think Handsome Bob, and he's the really hard man that comes out as gay, and they're all shocked, well, apparently, and really, really fun movie again. And then I like the way it ended because the bad guy got what he deserved, and I was hanging. As soon as I watched it, I started Googling when they're going to make the next one, because obviously,
and it came out in like 2008, and it is just like
and they teed it up at the end. They said the Wild
Boys, it's like the first
credit
of the credits is saying, there's a sequel coming.
The Wild Boys will all be back. And I Googled, I was like, fuck, did I miss it? Like, did it come out? But there's some big names in it, like Tom Hardy's in it and Idris Elba's in it. So I'm probably hard to get all those blokes on the same schedule. But would love to see another rock and roller movie, because
it'd be
thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Christopher Nolan, the director of the Batman films and Inception, said that seeing Tom Hardy's performance in this film was what made him decide to cast him in films like Inception and The Dark Knight Rises.
You're kidding.
Which I think is pretty cool. And then I was like, does it? But in 2008, so it is before all of those films.
Yeah, that's interesting, because the character that he plays is so different.
Like, the opposite of all those. Exactly. Yeah.
It's so different. But he's Tom Hardy's the man. He's the man. Definitely.
Jason Statham turned down a role in the film to go and make a film called Death Race that also came out in 2008 that I don't think I've seen, but it doesn't say what role he turned down. I imagine it's probably the Gerard Butler role.
I was about to say, I reckon it would have definitely been Gerard Butler's role.
Yeah.
I think, for sure. That's interesting. Yeah, right. Yeah. But I thought Gerard Butler was very good in it. I like his, he's really good in that.
There's two characters whose names references to characters in other movies. So the character Handsome Bob is supposedly a reference to Jason Statham, who plays Handsome Rob in The Italian Job. And then the character of Fred the Head is similar to Doug the Head in Richie's previous film Snatch.
Yeah, in Snatch. There you go.
He's all over it. He's just, and it seems to be the English guys. We were just talking about the Cornetto Trilogy, and now Guy Ritchie's got this British gangster one that now I'm reading. This makes me think that he's probably got these underlying movie to movie things too, not just the individual stories per movie. But
I love it. Like you say, there's no like you would never notice that, but it's funny. Like once you hear it, you go, oh, I really like that. I really like those sort of common themes that run between them. It's good.
Absolutely. I'll move on to some more questions now. So these usually happen at a specific time of year, but if films are getting like awards buzz or winning awards, does that have any reflection of you? Like, do you chase out those films? Are you like, oh, these must be quality if they're winning awads? I personally think there's a massive disconnect, and it's not quite the film I don't think I usually go for, but some people do.
I'd be inclined to agree with you there, mate. And like, again, I probably don't pay a great deal of attention to what's winning awards and what's not. I think I don't know. Yeah. Like the last time I was excited to go and see a movie was Avengers Endgame. And it was because I'd obviously seen the previous one, and like everyone else was just hanging. I was like, fuck, what's going to happen? And I think that was and obviously that did incredibly well, like commercially.
Can you imagine if Infinity War had to come out in 2019 and Endgame was to come out in 2020?
And like
what a fucking shit fight that would have been.
What would that? Because I mean, it did end up its second highest grossing. It's still behind Avatar, I think, for grossing.
I think so, yeah.
But it would have been a disaster, wouldn't it?
Mental. Yeah. And the investment that they would have put it, like the dollars they would have put into that, like
crazy,
uprooted by this. Like it wouldn't have come out yet for sure.
They would have. You're right. They would have spent too much money to risk it. Yeah, tanking. What's the go? Like, you'd have a better idea of this than I would. Now that obviously you can't go to the movies, and then people like studios are just generally releasing things now straight to, like, you can just stream them from Amazon or whatever. Yeah. Is that? Sure, like they're not making as much money now, are they? Like that's gonna.
I can't imagine so.
Or are people still streaming them?
Yeah. I'm honestly not sure, because the streaming thing seems to be heaps different to the cinemas, because cinemas, you know how like we were just saying then, like Avengers Endgame is like the second highest grossing movie of all time. if a movie's made by Netflix and put onto Netflix, they don't sell tickets to it. They only sell subscriptions. So I don't know how they measure how successful it is unless it's by people viewing it. But I don't understand, or as far as I can tell, there's no thing online about like how it makes money per viewing.
Yeah, so like
and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like I know that you could go on, if it's Amazon or whatever, and you can purchase the movie. Like you could buy it and watch it, and then but surely there'll be nowhere near as many people doing that as actually going to the movies. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's weird. I've thought about it too because I really don't understand how it works. But then because of what's happened in the past few years, some of them, I guess the studios, whoever own them, need to turn a profit. So they've sold them onto those platforms just to get rid of them and have recouped some of that financial loss, I guess.
For sure. But, that makes sense.
But I actually really don't know. And it's kind of weird because someone else I was talking to about this the other day, I was saying how I think it's really bizarre that, so to you and I, who are not financially invested in Avengers Endgame, why do we care or celebrate that it is the highest grossing film of all time? Like that doesn't mean anything to you or I.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I suppose it's sort of, it's almost like a justification to yourself maybe, because I like that movie and it's doing well, so I'm justified in liking that movie. Like, is that, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Is that
maybe?
Like,
yeah.
Not probably a deliberate thought or anything like that, but you kind of go like, oh, I love that movie. And look, it's second. Like, actually, it's really funny because we were doing Zoom trivia the other night with my partner's friends, and one of the questions was, what's the highest grossing movie of all time? I thought it was Avengers Endgame. And part of me, when he said, no, it's Avatar, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, part of me was disappointed that it wasn't Endgame because I love that movie so much. But that's probably something to do with like, oh, I want that to be number one because I really like it. So it's probably.
And I think for a time actually was one, but it has been beaten by Avatar because when no one was putting out new films in the pandemic, Avatar was re-released.
Oh, you're kidding.
And sold more tickets again.
You're kidding.
Where places were open. So I think it's like a very fine
it is. It's
between
only
like 1 and 2.
Yeah,
like, it's not much.
It is. I was looking at it the other day. It's not much at all, but that's hilarious. I didn't know that. That's very funny. Very crafty.
It is. It's clever, I guess. What's a film you've seen that you really loved, maybe when you were younger or even recently, that you watched, you know, this is fantastic, rewatched it, and you're like, actually, that's not that great?
Probably not going to be the answer you're looking for. I've seen Pineapple Express a few times, which I think is like a really good film. I got high once. I got stoned once and watched Pineapple Express and thought this is completely. I had a completely different appreciation because obviously they were blitzed out of their brains when they were making it, and it was almost as though I understood the movie for how it was meant to be. Like I was like, I had this, like I was very high, and I was like, oh my God, I get it. Like I get Pineapple Express now. I had this whole, it was really bizarre. And I remember sitting there going like, nah, like this is it. Like this is
it wasn't funny to you. It was a proper like crime caper.
Yeah. And there was all these like little things that I hadn't noticed before. And I was like, oh, that's why they did that. Oh, okay. And I had this completely different appreciation for it. So probably not like, that's the only kind of time I can remember watching a movie and having two really different experiences of it, like watching the same movie. But obviously I was high on marijuana the second time, so that probably played it.
That's great. That isn't the answer I expected for that one, but it's really good. Yeah. That film though, that's probably one of my favorite like comedy films. But that 3-way fight scene in Red's house, I could easily just pull up on YouTube to watch at any point and laugh at it just as hard as I did the first time I watched it, particularly at the end when they're taping him up and they're putting like tape from his hair to his shoulder.
And they've got him in the chair. I'm going to flex and break out of it. You've just reminded me actually of a film with a really good soundtrack. I know that was a few questions ago, but This Is the End that Rogan and Franco and everyone did. There's a few, I can't remember the names of the songs, but there's a few scenes in that where there's some like really good like hip hop and you're just like, this is very
that
cool.
Is a good one.
Very, very
I
cool.
agree. Yeah. What film would you say maybe surprised you the most? Like you went in with no expectation seeing it and came out going, I'm actually really glad I've seen that now.
Casino Royale. Somebody told
James
me,
Bond, yeah?
Yeah, and it was I did have expectations, but they were set really low because someone told me it was shit. I can't remember who it was, but someone had said like it's one of the worst Bond movies ever, and I was like, surely not. And I remember going to see it, being like, this is fucking great. Like, and really like all the Daniel Craig, like, obviously think we're probably a little bit biased because he's been our James Bond, but I think Daniel Craig's the best James Bond by a country mile. Obviously, the movie's just got so much more investment than the earlier ones and stuff. But yeah, definitely, I can remember clearly going to see Casino Royale, like, can't believe this is going to be shit, but still going to see it anyway. And coming out of it going, like, that was awesome. Really, really good movie. But it was because someone had told me it was shit, so I'd set the bar probably quite low.
For sure. That we're still waiting for No Time to Die at this point, which is the new James Bond that it was supposed to come out in April last year.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's like pushed to November in Australia.
Are they finished? Are they finished filming and everything? Like, is it done?
It's been finished for over a year, I guess. And
so they're obviously waiting till they can get bums on seats because obviously they would have spent a shitload making that movie.
Absolutely. Because it's supposed to be his last effort as the character, I guess.
Okay.
And it's just been held. But apparently, like, however much it cost to make, it had an initial release date that it was marketed for in April 2020. It shifted to the end of 2020, but it still wasn't a good enough time to come out. So it shifted again. So it's been marketed 3 times. And it's got a production and marketing budget that's combined of somewhere around $800 million and is yet to be seen by someone and sell a ticket. Like, so I don't think it can move again, because if it moves again, it needs to make $1 billion to be profitable.
Ridiculous. It blows my mind. I'm so intrigued. I did a course at uni that was to do with like film and politics, and I'm always so intrigued, like these monster, but like that's an insane amount of money to spend making a movie. Like, obviously these movies have like cultural impact and they tell a story and stuff, but like to what extent it influences people, I don't know. But that is an unbelievable amount of money to spend on a film. It's insane. It's but I'm glad they do, because they're always very good.
Can you tell me a film that you really like, you've just seen the once but you probably won't watch again?
Ooh, that's a good one. Just seen the once. Fuck, do you know what? I watched White Chicks for the first time the other night. Have never seen White Chicks yet, and obviously very
that's really quotable too. I for sure thought you would have seen that.
Yes, watched it for like two nights ago. My missus put it on before we went to bed, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen White Chicks, and I sat and watched it, and hilarious, very, very funny, and like really interesting watching it now. The idea of 2 black dudes dressing up as white women. It's like a hilarious. Like I was sitting there watching it the whole time, going, the premise of this is fucking just hilarious by itself. The Wayans brothers are very, very funny, and then it was also funny watching it because there's a lot of the characters that were in like the first Scary Movie. Do you remember watching Scary Movie? There was it's their brother, I think, has made all those too, right? Of course, So there was a lot of the guys like, oh, you're in Scary Movie, you're in Scary. So that was like funny watching that as well. But and you know what? I don't think I'll watch it again. Like I don't think I need to see White Chicks again, but it was good. Yeah.
No, that is a good one. I for sure thought that would have been one of your
there was
high
a few
school years for sure.
Like White Chicks, I didn't see the first American Pie till well after it was cool, like till everyone had stopped talking about American Pie. I think the first American Pie I watched was like The Wedding. I think that was like the first one that I saw. So a lot of those, I don't know. A lot of those ones I didn't see, but did see a few of the classics.
Very good. What about like animated films? Do you have a particular favorite animated one?
I don't think I've seen too many animated films off the top of my head. Like fully animated, like not like Avengers, like CGI.
Yeah, like the Pixar ones and Shrek and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. I remember I really loved Ants. Remember the film Ants?
Yep.
Yeah. Ants was good. Also loved, was it Toy Soldiers? Was it called Toy Soldiers?
Small Soldiers.
Small Soldiers.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, it is. Small Soldiers. I remember, really loved that when I was younger. I had all the
I'm pretty sure that was the first thing I saw at the movies.
Yeah,
I think,
right.
Which
Yeah.
I'm so surprised that it was, because I, for the longest time, thought it was the Santa Claus, like the Tim Allen movie.
Yeah, okay.
But that came
yeah.
out. That came out the year I was born, so it cannot have been.
You may have gone. You have a very good
potentially,
memory.
yeah. All right, we'll move on. We'll go to your third and your final trailer, which is Inglorious Bastards.
If you want to win the war tonight, we have to make a deal.
What kind of deal?
The kind you wouldn't have the authority to make. However, I'm sure this mission of yours has a commanding officer. A general. I'm betting for OSS would be my guess. Ooh, that's a bingo. Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
You just say bingo.
Bingo! How fun!
Bastards. So, a classic Tarantino movie, goes for fucking ages, so long.
Yes.
Love so much. I love about this movie. It's just a good revenge film, like proper. I love what Tarantino does when he just kind of rewrites history a little bit.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt again. Brad Pitt's been in a couple of my movies as well, actually. Brad Pitt, great character. Is it Lieutenant Aldo Rain? And there's a few. Christoph Waltz is a sicko in it. He's so good. Right. The costumes, like what they spend making these movies to look and feel the way they do is just like, it's ridiculous. It's a really, really great. I love that revengey kind of the bad guys get with. He gets fucked over so hard at the end. You know, he thinks he's made this deal, and Hitler gets his face shot off, and it's just. I really love that idea of like being able to rewrite history a bit like that. And Tarantino does it he did it recently in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well. And just those kind of, you get these atrocities, these terrible things and terrible, terrible people. And being able to give them what they should have got, I really like that. I really like that, and some really, really good characters, and just a really, really good and a fun movie. Obviously, there's some heavy stuff in it, but a lot of fun.
Sure, that's really good. I this afternoon, as I was saying, I looked up some stuff about all of those films.
These will be good because Tarantino's a master at this stuff. Yeah,
and so I saw this at the movies, and I didn't even notice it, even when I looked it up. I guess when I typed it autocorrects, but the film's title is Inglorious Bastards, TERDS.
Like poos.
Yes. And I was like, I did never notice that, right? So there's a piece here where it's Quentin Tarantino got asked about it, and I'm pretty sure it says it was on Rove Live, so it must have been when he was in Australia to promote the film. He said, here's the thing, I'm never going to explain it. It's just a little artistic flourish. But then someone else brought this up in a different interview and showed him the posters they made for the film. So when the film came out, it had character posters that were put up all throughout the world when they were promoting it, right? And it was each character from the film, and it would be like, Brad Pitt is a bastard, spelt BASTERD.
Yeah.
So that was, and everyone thinks that is the reason why he did it. So he could just pretty much call everyone a piece of shit on their poster for the film.
So it was just like a fun way to just say Brad Pitt's all his mates are bastards. I like it.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah, very good.
For a film that is American or an English film, roughly only 30% is spoken in English. It's heavily subtitled in German, French, and a little bit of Italian, I'm pretty sure as well.
Correct. Buongiorno.
Yeah, which how crazy is that? Like I remember there being a lot of, because the beginning of the film is in German or French. I think
it is that interrogation scene.
Wow, that's crazy.
There's obviously some subtleties, and this is Tarantino again. So a really good mate of mine, dad was a detective, like a high-ranking detective around here in Newcastle for a lot of years. And I remember talking to him about the movie. It must have been around when it came out. And there's obviously stuff that normal people wouldn't pick up on in that scene that he said, he goes, that is one of the best interrogation scenes I've ever seen. So there's obviously, and again, like you or I probably missed a lot of it, but there's obviously some subtleties in the way that conversation goes down and the little things that he does, whether it's his pipe or whatever he's doing in that scene. From an ex-copper, he said that is one of the best interrogation scenes you'll ever see. So there's little things like that. And I wish I'd have picked his brains more because I'd be interested to see what it is. But
that's like him observing that there's people hidden under the into the basement, right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that scene
crazy.
There. Yeah. But there's obviously little bits where he's sort of asking him questions, and he gets the glass of milk, and he loads his pipe, and he asks him, and there's all those little things that are obviously, it's and again, it's just Tarantino. He loves his detail, so very good.
That is really cool. This one shocked me to read. This is the last one I got for this one too. Leonardo DiCaprio was the first choice for Colonel Hans Lander, and Quentin Tarantino decided that it would be better portrayed by a German-speaking actor and promised that they'd work together later, and he later cast Leo in Django Unchained.
Yeah, right.
But I cannot imagine anyone other than Christoph Waltz doing that role.
Nah, he's that wouldn't have made. I'm glad they didn't go with DiCaprio's fantastic and very good in Django Unchained as well. He plays that. I always like when someone plays a bad bloke, like a really bad bloke that well. I'm always going like, are you actually a fucking asshole? Like, because he in Django, he's a monster, and he's a very, very convincing bad guy. And I'm like, are you actually a bad dude, or like part of you bad? Or he's obviously just a very talented actor. But it's interesting. Yeah, you couldn't see anyone else other than Christoph Waltz playing that guy. That would be bizarre.
No, that was good. All right, I'll move on. I've got a couple more, and then we'll jump into your feature film. Who plays Josh Bluey Nielsen in the biopic Josh Bluey Nielsen?
Great question.
I thought about this for you in case you didn't have one, but I am interested in who you think it is.
A young Ron Jeremy, I think.
Ron Jeremy.
Yeah. No, wait. Was Ron Jeremy the porn star?
Yes.
No, I'm thinking of Ron Howard. Sorry.
Ron Howard. Okay.
I was just thinking of someone. I was just trying.
Yeah.
Genuine mistake. No, I was just trying to think of someone with red hair. Ron Howard.
Okay.
Maybe Ron Howard. Maybe no. You know what? Better one. Chuck Norris. Young Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Okay. You got red hair, so yeah, Chucky Norris for sure.
I don't know why. Then your answers make mine seem so bizarre, but I went Sacha Baron Cohen for some reason. But yeah, no, I agree. Ron Jeremy's where you go for sure.
Ron Jeremy.
Dude,
I want the.
I couldn't have picked it.
If it's Sacha Baron Cohen, I want the Ali G. I want Ali G. Sacha Baron Cohen. Definitely. Yeah.
Who is your favorite character from a film?
Favorite character from a film? Very good question. I love. Oh, that's good. DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street when he plays Jordan Belfort. It's a lot of fun, but he's a wanker too. Yeah. But he's a pig. I think that's very funny. It's funny to watch. I love Seth Rogen. I love like a lot of stuff that Seth Rogen does. Seth Rogen in Pineapple Express, very funny. I'm trying to think of another one that I watched recently with him in it. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really know. Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, I think my favorite.
I'll jump on. Do you have a favorite film maker? Like someone makes a film, you're probably going to go see it no matter what.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie for sure. Anything that Guy Ritchie does, and Christopher Nolan. Just you've got to commit obviously to those ones, like especially some of his recent works. You've really got to buy into them. But I'd probably if anything's got their names on it, I'm in. I reckon.
No, very good. I agree. What about film endings? What do you think is the film that has the best ending?
Yeah, love. Like I said, love a good revenge film. So, Inglourious Bastards, the way that film finishes, sensational. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was one of the craziest endings to a movie.
Yeah,
and it was funny because that movie just seemed to idle along for 2.5 hours or whatever it was, and then there was like 8 minutes or whatever it was at the end where you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? Brilliant. Yes. And what is the one? I'm trying to think of Gone Girl. think the ending of Gone Girl, like the back end of that movie, because that was another one that I hadn't seen until not long ago. Yeah. And I remember I watched that, and the way that Neil Patrick Harris met his end there, that I was like, holy fucking dude. Like
that's like halfway through too, actually, where
is it? Yeah, dies. You're right. No, sorry, you're
you're
right.
like, oh my God, there's still like another half a movie to go. And
and then they end up
this is a good one though.
They end up just staying together. Like he just like
it's absolute madness.
Yeah.
And he like goes to do the interview with the lady that called him the biggest piece of shit in America. And she's just like, oh well, it's news. Like, and doesn't even say sorry. Like I was like,
and then they just move on and play Happy Family. And that's a good one actually. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
All right, we've come up to your feature film now, which is your favorite film, which is?
It is Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises.
Theatricality and deception. Powerful agents to the uninitiated. But we are initiated, aren't we, Bruce? Members of the League of Shadows. And you betrayed us.
Yes, you were excommunicated by a gang of psychopaths.
I am the League of Shadows. I am here to fulfill Ra's al Ghul's destiny.
Tough one. I loved. What was the title of the one before with Heath Ledger?
Just The Dark Knight.
Just The Dark Knight. Love both those movies. And I remember seeing The Dark Knight at the film, and it was. Did Ledger pass away just before it came out, or around when it came out?
I think before it even came out. So he'd finished all his stuff and then never saw the actual.
Yeah, and I remember, and it's the bad guys in those two movies that I love. So obviously Bane, Tom Hardy is Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, and Heath Ledger's Joker as well. But I remember seeing that at the movies, and I think it was obviously more impactful too because Ledger had just passed away. And one of the last scenes you see of him is he's just sort of swinging there, cackling madly, and just great. But yeah, Dark Knight Rises, brilliant film. Batman's broken and busted, and Christian Bale's he's a monster. Like he's a legend. Just so dark. Like that's another one. I can't wait for this new Batman to come out. I'm really excited.
That looks really cool, doesn't
it? Just the like they're just dark. Like he's busted, and you've got Bane, like Tom Hardy's just all fucking roided up, and then the way that movie's kind of almost like it's a commentary on, I don't know if it was around when the global financial crisis was happening or whatever, but it's almost like there's a good bit of social commentary going on through it as well with your classes and the poor overthrowing the rich. And I really like that kind of subtext that sort of runs through it as well as the fact that there's fucking like a lot of really awesome action and characters, and the bad guy nearly wins and then does Batman die at the end, like all that kind of stuff. I think it's a brilliant movie.
What do you think is the ending of that? And
so
he obviously you see him in the cafe.
Yeah,
he leaves to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. What do you think happens?
Yeah, and again, I've gone down the YouTube rabbit hole a few times trying to find out, and they said, was it just like Alfred's fantasy? Is Alfred just kind of picturing him there, or and that was obviously he'd explained earlier in the movie that he had that dream, that he'd see him in the cafe and he'd just sort of give him a smile and walk away. And I'm inclined to think that that's what it is, that it is just Alfred's fantasy and he actually did die. But then what's the bit? Because doesn't he say that the autopilot was disabled or it was fixed? I can't remember what.
I think he says it was fixed.
It was
when
fixed.
They found it.
So
it was engaged or something like that. So it alludes that it potentially flew itself with the bomb away.
Yeah, and he got away.
Pilot. Yeah.
And again, like I'd love to see, like, because obviously Robin finds the Bat Cave at the end, and like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they leave it open, which I like too. I like that you definitely want more. Like, and that's why this new one with Rob Pattinson that they're making, and that looks darker again. Like this looks like it'll be really, really sort of heavy. And I think that's I love that stuff. I think it's going to be really good. But yeah, it's not like your classic sort of superhero movie. I think that's why I like it as well. It's really, really good, really good film.
It is. I looked up a few for this one. This one came out when I was working at the cinema, but it had that really unfortunate opening weekend in the States where that
someone shot up the cinema, didn't they?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I forgot about that.
But the film ended up hanging around for a really long time because I think initially it kind of probably scared people away, but it's just one of those things that happened in America.
Unfortunately not all that uncommon over there, but
No, we'll go on to some happier stuff. I looked up a few little trivia pieces about this one. In the cave where Batman and Bane have the fight where Bane breaks Batman's back, Bane's footsteps are produced as a really loud, heavy thuds, but Batman's are portrayed as really quiet and stealth-like, which is to contrast their two different styles of fighting, which I did not notice, and then quickly pulled up on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, so much of this just goes over people's, including mine, heads, but it totally sells the whole, well, that's threatening. And
it's the effort and the detail that they go to position you and to tell the story, to make their characters look like this or that. And it's all these things that the effort, like the post-production and stuff that goes into something like that we wouldn't even fucking notice unless you read about it. And then all of a sudden you read it and you go, oh my God. But you didn't even know, you've subconsciously been positioned this way. And it's not until you read something like that. I love that stuff. I love it. Yeah. It's brilliant.
During the production, when it was done in Pittsburgh, a local man was arrested for trying to steal an unmarked police car. He said he was an actor and the crime was actually a scene for the movie, and a local newspaper ran a story saying, like Batman, car thief story does not fly. which I think is ridiculous.
That's great.
But and also this Batman is the only one in all of Batman films where the final battle takes place during daylight at dawn. Well, every other one, if you think, is taking place at night. So the end of Batman Begins is at night in the city.
Yep.
The end of The Dark Knight is, like you were just saying, he's hanging upside down over the harbor, which I thought was absolutely crazy.
And they have that huge, all the police and all the prisoners. It's just in the afternoon. Let's just get into it, boys.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
All right. I've got two more for you. First one is what do you think is what film are you most looking forward to between now and the end of the year? Yes. Provided we can probably go to the cinema.
Yeah, I think that's a very vague question, isn't it? But so I don't know what the release date on it is, but the Batman with Robert Pattinson, I think it might be next year even. I'm not sure.
I think it might be next year too.
Yeah. That's like, so I've like when that trailer came out, it just looks, like I said, like it's so dark. Like you've got the Riddler, and it looks like it's going to be fucking really good. Pattinson looks traumatized and pale, and but like there's that bit where he like flogs that, he belts that bloke. He goes it looks like he's going to go a lot further than Batman normally does. Like it looks like it's going to be some proper street justice. So I don't know. It's probably not coming out this year, but I'm really, really can't wait to see that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Very good. So the final one I've got for you is I've used one of your top 4 favorite films, and I've intentionally picked a terrible 1-star review of it. But I've removed the title of it. So I want you to guess what the film is, and then I want you to defend it from this 1-star review, okay?
This is genius. Yeah, hit me.
Okay. All right. So the title of the review, terrible waste of money and time. The entire film was worthless. My wife and I both regret that we didn't get up and walk out at the first indication of what this film was really going to be about, which is still hard to determine since it was such a ridiculous storyline. Blood, guts, and violence seem to be the only real theme. But we kept hoping there'd be something redeeming just around the corner. Unfortunately, there wasn't, because there wasn't anything that made sense. We, along with a lot of other people in the audience, walked out of the theater muttering, "That was disgusting. Waste of time. I should have walked out. Where was the comedy? This was pathetic," etc. It actually made us, the audience, voice our disgust and feel that, and the feeling that we had just been thoroughly ripped off. The only thing of merit in this film was the costuming and the acting ability of almost everyone in the film. There just wasn't a plot or a script worthy of anyone's talents here. I rate this film 1 because there isn't a 0. I can't quite understand how anyone would rate this higher than a 0. What film of yours do you think that is? And can you defend it from this 1-star review?
Wow. So they've taken a bit of time with that 1-star review, haven't they?
They have. That was posted in 2009.
Okay, 09. So I don't remember when it came out. I've got a feeling, because they're talking about the violence and the costumes, I want to say they're talking about Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, that is the one they're talking about.
When we're talking about, so this person's an idiot for several reasons. When you're talking about, they had issues with the plot. Well, they obviously weren't watching it. You're talking about redeeming qualities. Tarantino rewrote history with this movie. He got revenge for the Holocaust. Hitler got it. The Third Reich was brought down. If that's not a redeeming quality for you, you're a Nazi sympathizer, mate. I'm sorry, mate. The film is about redemption. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm sorry. And you talk about a superstar, Christoph Waltz, Brad Pitt. It's a Tarantino movie. Like, what do you want? I'm sorry. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. That's a good one. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Mate, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun, mate. That was a lot of fun. I hope you keep doing these, mate. Definitely keep doing them, because
thank you.
That's a lot of fun. Have me back on.
Absolutely,
I'd love to come back
we will.
on.
We'll do it again sometime. Where can people find you if they want to search the Daily Blue, right?
Yeah, so I have a satirical news publication. It's a rip-off of the Batuta Advocate, but if you want to have a look at it, it is called The Daily Blue. So I think just Daily Blue News on Instagram and Facebook. And we have a website that I barely update, so don't worry about that. But go check it out. So it's a bit of fun.
Perfect. The film reviews are coming soon, I assume, right? The redemption of Inglourious Bastards can.
Do you know what you've just given me? If you've just given me an idea for some content, we could do a Daily Blue film review and just do like a really crude film review. Just of you could do all the classics and just hammer them. Yeah, that's actually. I'll get you on as a critic. That's actually fucking not a bad idea.
Very good. We'll look forward to those. I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, mate. I had a ball. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Bottomless Popcorn. For bonus content, news, and upcoming guests, follow us on Instagram at Bottomless Popcorn Pod. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. If you'd like to contact the show, you can email us at bottomlesspopcornpod@gmail.com. And be sure to leave a review of your own favorite film wherever you listen to podcasts.